Have you ever looked in the mirror and wondered, how did we get here? Not just you, but all of us. The story of Homo sapiens is an epic saga, filled with more plot twists and shocking revelations than any blockbuster movie. Today, we're peeling back the layers of time to uncover the stunning truths about our earliest ancestors. Forget the simple, linear chart you saw in your high school textbook. The real story of human evolution is a messy, complicated, and utterly fascinating family drama. Let's rewind the clock, way back. About 6 to 7 million years ago in Africa, a crucial split occurred. One lineage of apes would eventually lead to modern chimpanzees and bonobos, our closest living relatives. The other, well, that one led to us. The earliest characters in our story are creatures like Sahelanthropus and Ardipithecus. They weren't quite human, but they weren't exactly like other apes either. The most groundbreaking change was bipedalism, walking on two legs. Why did our ancestors stand up? It wasn't for a better view, at least not initially. The prevailing theory is that climate change turned lush forests into sprawling savannas. Walking upright was simply more energy efficient for covering long distances between scattered food sources. It also freed up our hands. Suddenly, our ancestors could carry food, tools, and even their young while on the move. This simple change in posture was the first domino to fall, setting off a cascade of evolutionary innovations that would define our species. Now, let's jump forward to about 3 million years ago and meet the Australopithecines. The most famous of them is Lucy, a member of the species Australopithecus afarensis. Lucy and her kind were a fascinating mix of ape and human-like features. They had small brains, about the size of a modern chimpanzee's, but their hips, legs, and feet were clearly adapted for walking upright. They were pioneers, living proof that our brains didn't lead the way our feet did. For a long time, we thought our big brains were what made us special from the start, but the evidence shows that bipedalism came first. Our bodies changed long before our minds did. This is where the family tree gets really complicated. For millions of years, multiple species of early hominins coexisted. It wasn't a straight line of succession. It was a tangled bush of different experiments in being human-like. Imagine a world where you might encounter not just your own kind, but other, distinctly different human-like species while out for a walk. Paranthropus, for example, lived alongside the Australopithecines. They were the nutcracker hominins, with massive jaws and huge teeth for grinding tough, fibrous plants. They were an evolutionary side branch that ultimately went extinct, but their existence shows that there was more than one way to be a hominid. Then, around 2.5 million years ago, something truly revolutionary happened. The first stone tools appeared. This marks the dawn of the Paleolithic era and the arrival of a new player on the scene. The genus Homo, the earliest member, Homo habilis or handyman, was so named because they were long believed to be the first toolmakers. Their brains were slightly larger than those of the Australopithecines, and this cognitive leap allowed them to see a rock not just as a rock, but as a potential cutting edge, a hammer, a key to unlocking new food sources. Making a simple stone tool is harder than it looks. It requires foresight, planning, and fine motor skills. These tools allowed our ancestors to butcher carcasses left behind by larger predators, scraping meat off bones and cracking them open for the nutrient-rich marrow inside. This access to high-quality protein and fat was like rocket fuel for our developing brains. Our brains are incredibly energy-hungry organs, and this new diet provided the calories needed for them to grow larger and more complex over the next million years. Next up on our evolutionary journey is Homo erectus, the upright man, and these guys were dangerous. Appearing around 2 million years ago, they were the first of our relatives to look remarkably like us, with taller bodies and more modern human proportions. But their biggest claim to fame: they were the first globetrotters. Homo erectus migrated out of Africa, spreading across Asia and into parts of Europe. This was a feat of incredible adaptability, requiring them to survive in new environments with different climates, predators, and food sources. And how did they do it? With better technology and a secret weapon: fire. While the exact timing is debated, evidence suggests Homo erectus may have been the first to control fire. Fire changed everything. It provided warmth, protection from predators, and a new way to prepare food. Cooking makes food easier to digest and unlocks more nutrients. It also brings people together. Imagine our ancestors gathering around a campfire, sharing food, stories, and social bonds. The hearth may well have been the first living room, a central point for the development of social culture. Now, for the truly shocking part. For most of our history, Homo sapiens were not alone. When our species first emerged in Africa around 300,000 years ago, the world was a very different place. In Europe and Asia, our cousins, the Neanderthals, had been thriving for hundreds of thousands of years. In Asia, there were the mysterious Denisovans, known only from a few fossil fragments, and the genetic legacy they left behind. On the Indonesian island of Flores, there was even a tiny species, Homo floresiensis, nicknamed the Hobbit. For tens of thousands of years, we shared the planet with these other human species. And we didn't just live near them, we interacted. Genetic evidence has proven one of the most astonishing truths of our history. Our ancestors interbred with them. Most modern humans with non-African ancestry carry a small percentage of Neanderthal DNA in their genomes. Similarly, some populations in Asia and Oceania have traces of Denisovan DNA. This isn't just a quirky family secret. It has real-world implications. The genes we inherited from these ancient encounters may have helped our ancestors adapt to new environments, influencing everything from our immune systems to how our bodies handle high altitudes. Our success as a species wasn't just about our own ingenuity. It was also about borrowing a few genetic tricks from our well-adapted cousins. We are, in a very real sense, hybrids. So, what happened to everyone else? Why are we the only humans left? This is one of the biggest mysteries in paleontology. Did we outcompete them for resources? Did we bring diseases they couldn't handle? Or was it something more direct? The timing is suspicious. As Homo sapiens expanded across the globe, the other human species gradually disappeared. It probably wasn't a single event, but a combination of factors. Our species may have had a slight edge, perhaps more sophisticated tools, wider social networks, or more complex symbolic language that allowed for better cooperation. A changing climate may have also put pressure on populations like the Neanderthals, and our arrival was the final straw. Whatever the reason, by about 40,000 years ago, Homo sapiens stood alone, the last human species on Earth. The story of our origins is not a simple march of progress. It's a sprawling epic of adaptation, competition, cooperation, and incredible luck. We are the improbable survivors of a diverse family of hominids, carrying the genetic ghosts of our long-lost relatives within us. Every time you marvel at human art, technology, or our ability to work together, you're seeing the culmination of millions of years of evolutionary trial and error. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back in time. If you found this as fascinating as I do, please hit that like button and consider subscribing for more deep dives into the story of us. Let me know in the comments which part of our evolutionary history blows your mind the most. Until next time, stay curious.